Let us begin a new chapter, Animal Classification. What is meant by classification? Classification means grouping. Grouping of animals. Why to classify the animals? Because there are large number of different types of organisms are there in the nature. We can say that in the water, on land, as well as in the air. Because of that, studying about each and every organisms felt very difficult. As a result of it, scientists felt if similar character showing organisms put together in one group, it will be very easy for learning about the organisms of a special group or a separate group. So because of that, classification of animals done. Now here we will study about how to classify the living organisms at first. Here living organisms, first we can classify them into two groups. They are prokaryotes and eukaryotes. This is just a revision to you. You people already studied in lower classes classification of animals. So we can say that living organisms we can classify as prokaryotes as well as eukaryotes. Now prokaryotes are coming under kingdom Monera. Kingdom Monera. Now eukaryotes are divided into two groups again. They are unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. Multicellular organisms. So first living organisms. Living organisms means plants as well as animals. To them we can group into two groups. One is prokaryotes, other one eukaryotes. Now prokaryotes are coming under kingdom Monera. Eukaryotes are coming under two groups. One is unicellular organisms, other one multicellular organisms. Now unicellular organisms are coming under kingdom Protista. Kingdom Protista. Now multicellular organisms again we can divide into two groups. One is without cell wall I'll write as with cell wall first. With cell wall and without cell wall. Multicellular organisms we can divide into two groups. One is the organisms with cell wall, other one organisms without cell wall. Now organisms with cell wall again we can divide into two groups. One is autotrophs, other one is heterotrophs. Heterotrophs. Now here without cell wall, that is coming under, or we can say that without cell which all organisms are there, they are coming under kingdom Animalia. kingdom Animalia. Now, here with the cell wall divided into two groups. They are autotrophs as well as heterotrophs. Now, autotrophs coming under kingdom Plantae, Plantae. Heterotrophs coming under kingdom Fungi. So here now living organisms that we can be able to divide into two groups. One is prokaryotes, other one eukaryotes. Prokaryotes are coming under kingdom Monera. Eukaryotes are coming under again two groups. They are unicellular organisms as well as multicellular organisms. Now unicellular organisms are coming under kingdom Protista. Multicellular organisms are again divided into two groups. Organisms with cell wall, organisms without cell wall. Now organisms with cell wall again we can divide into two groups, autotrophs as well as heterotrophs. Autotrophs are coming under kingdom Plantae. Heterotrophs are coming under kingdom Fungi. Then organisms without cell wall coming under kingdom Animalia. Kingdom Animalia divides into two subkingdoms. Kingdom Animalia. This divides into two subkingdoms. One is known as subkingdom non-chordata or non-chordates and subkingdom chordates. Now, kingdom Animalia divides into two groups. One is subkingdom non-chordates, the other one subkingdom chordates. Now, subkingdom chordates again divided into 10 phylums. This thing we can divide into 10 phylums. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The first one, that is phylum Protozoa. Protozoa. Second one, phylum Porifera. Third one, phylum Cnidaria. See silent here. The fourth one, phylum Platyhelminthes. Platyhelminthes. Fifth one, phylum Aschelminthes. Now, phylum sixth one, phylum Annelida. Annelida. Phylum Arthropoda. Then phylum Mollusca. Then phylum Echinodermata. Echinodermata. then phylum Hemichordata. Hemichordata. So here subkingdom non-chordates are divided into 10 phylums. First one Protozoa, Porifera, Cnidaria, Platyhelminthes, Aschelminthes, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata and Hemichordata. Now here subkingdom chordates divides into only one phylum Chordata. Phylum Chordata. Now this phylum Chordata divides into 3 subphylums. They are Urochordata, Cephalochordata and Vertebrata. These we can say as they are subphylums. So here now subkingdom chordates divides into only one phylum, or we can say here subkingdom chordate has only one phylum, that is phylum Chordata. Again this phylum Chordata has 3 subphylums. They are Urochordata, Cephalochordata and Vertebrata. Now this subphylum Vertebrata again divides into 6 classes. 6 classes are there. First one, that is Cyclostomata. Second one, Pisces. Third one, Amphibia. Fourth one, Reptilia. Fifth one, Aves. Sixth one, Mammalia. Now about them we have to study in detail. So first we have to classify them. How all scientists helped for such a type of classification. Because of the help of such a type of classification, we can say that a group of organisms coming under one class. Now here we can say that now in case of Pisces means all types of fishes are coming in one group. Now Mammalia means all mammals are coming under one group. Like that way here all Cyclostomata coming under one group. So like that way classification work became, because of classification, understanding as well as studying about similar group of organisms became very easy. So once again we will have a quick revision of classification of kingdom Animalia. Animalia means all animals. Here now see, this kingdom Animalia consists of 2 subkingdoms. The first one, that is non-chordates, second one chordates. Now non-chordates consists of 10 phylums. They are phylum Protozoa, phylum Porifera, phylum Cnidaria, phylum Platyhelminthes, phylum Aschelminthes, phylum Annelida, phylum Arthropoda, phylum Mollusca, phylum Echinodermata and phylum Hemichordata. Non-chordates has only one phylum, that is Chordata. Now that Chordata has 3 subphylums. They are Urochordata, Cephalochordata and Vertebrata. Now this Vertebrata has 6 classes. We can write here classes. There are 6 classes under subphylum Vertebrata. They are Cyclostomata, pisces, amphibia, reptilia, aves and mammalia. Now we will study in detail about each and every, here in case of all phylums, here in case of all classes. What is body symmetry? In imaginary sense, if a body cut through imaginary axis may give or may produce equal or unequal halves. Depending upon this property, there are different types of animals are there. According to this property of different animals, the body symmetry itself divide into three types. One is known as asymmetrical symmetry, other one bilateral symmetry, the other one radial symmetry. Now what is meant by asymmetrical symmetry? Asymmetrical symmetry means there are some organisms, their body cannot cut imaginary through or cannot cut through the imaginary axis. For example, in case of amoeba, like that way any shape it may have, it is not having any fixed shape. The shape of its pseudopodia, fingertips are there, finger-like projections are there. This part is using for its movement, locomotion work we can see. Now this part may not remain in the constant condition. Its shape keep on changing. As a result of it, we cannot be able to cut its body through the imaginary axis equally. Because of that, such a type of symmetry is known as asymmetrical symmetry. Suppose if you are trying to cut its body like this through the imaginary axis, here different shape may be, here different shape may be there. If we try to cut this way, even then here different shape may be, here different shape may be there. So such organisms are there. One is amoeba, other one we can say paramecium, etc. These organisms' body cannot be imaginary, or they have no imaginary axis to cut their body into two equal halves. As a result of it, this type of organisms are having asymmetrical symmetry. Now we are studying about what is meant by bilateral symmetry. If a body can be able to cut imaginary condition through imaginary axis into two equal halves. So we can say that in case of bilateral symmetry, in case of such organisms, we can say few examples like a human body, we can say human beings, frogs, fish, etc., even insects, etc. These all organisms' body have imaginary axis to cut into two equal halves. Such a type of symmetry is known as bilateral symmetry. Now, we can say that in case of human being, now we can be able to cut through its imaginary axis into two equal halves. We can say that only through one imaginary axis we can be able to cut human being's body, fish body, amphibian organism, frog's body, reptile's body, etc. Those body we can cut through imaginary axis equal halves. But one speciality is there. Through one imaginary axis only we can be able to cut the bilateral symmetry which all organisms are having their body into two equal halves. Anyhow, if we try to cut, cannot get two equal halves. So, such organisms having bilateral symmetry. They have only one imaginary axis. Through that, if we are cutting their body, then we will get two equal halves. Now we will study about radial symmetry. Radial symmetry means, again we can say that they are having if we are cutting their body through imaginary central axis, we can cut their body into two equal halves. If we cut them in any direction, we can say that in case of starfish, it has pentamerous symmetry. Why? Because it has 5 hands. Starfish, we can say that like that way, 5 arms it has. In any direction if we cut their body, we will get two equal halves. So, if we are cutting starfish through its central axis in any direction, either this way or this way, anyhow, through the central axis, if we cut, then we will get two equal halves. So, such a type of symmetry is known as radial symmetry. Let us study the important characteristics of protozoa. Protozoa, for that some examples we are having. They are amoeba, paramecium, euglena, etc. Now, protozoans examples we studied: amoeba, paramecium, euglena, etc. Most of the protozoans are free living. Free living means they are not depending on other animals for their nutrients or for their nutrition, or we can say for their food. They are indirectly depending on other organisms for their food. Other thing we can say that there are few types of protozoa or protozoans. They are depending on higher animals, live inside their body and cause diseases to them. So the protozoans which are living inside the body of higher animals and harming them or causing diseases to them, such protozoans are known as parasitic protozoans. The protozoans which are not depending on other organisms for their food directly, to them known as free living organisms. They are primitive of all organisms. Primitive, its meaning first formed animals. Proto means first. Protozoans, zoans means animals, first formed animals. So protozoans speciality or the phylum Protozoa, its speciality, the animals which are there in phylum Protozoa are first formed animals, or they are the primitive of all animals. So here now we studied about they are free living or parasitic, then they are primitive. Primitive means a first formed organisms. Then next thing, protozoans are unicellular organisms. They are having only one cell in their body. Then they are having different types of locomotory organs. We can say that one thing, they are having pseudopodia. Pseudopodia like amoeba. Pseudopodia, its meaning false feet. Finger-like projections are there. Whenever they want, that time that projection is occurring in their body. We cannot say, we are unable to say that they are having permanent locomotory structures. Now, suppose in case of amoeba, such a structure is there. Whenever it finds any nutrient, or we can say any food item, so that moment it's a pseudopodia. This is one, this is other. Its structure changes, or whenever it is required, that time it can be able to develop also. Because of that, we can say that pseudopodia has got other name, that is false feet. Whenever it requires, a projection is occurring in its body. As a result of it, new pseudopodia can be able to develop. Because of that, saying that they are not having real feet, they are having false feet. Now, here we are studying about pseudopodia. That means locomotory organs. One, that is pseudopodia. Second, we can say hair-like cilia. Some of the organisms are having hair-like cilia, that is using for their locomotion. Other ones, other type of organisms having whip-like flagella. Whip-like flagella. So we can say that these protozoans are having different types of locomotory for moving purpose. They are having different types of locomotory organs. One thing, in case of amoeba, we can say they are using pseudopodia. In case of paramecium, they are using cilia. In case of euglena, they are using whip-like flagella. Whip means one stick may be there or may not be there. From that, like that way, one thread will be there. We can say that for beating horse or animals, we can use this whip, or we can say this bubu wala saying. Those people are having one type of whip. With that, they are beating on their body. That is also whip. So, like that way, one long hair-like structure will be there. That is known as a flagella in case of euglena. Now, other thing, they are microscopic organisms. Protozoans' speciality, they are microscopic. With the help of microscope only we can see them. We cannot be able to see them with our naked eye. Such a minute structure they are having. Other one, they are having very simple body organization, or we can say that their body structure is very, very simple. So once again we will have a revision of characteristics of protozoa. First thing, we can say that they are having very simple body structure. They are microscopic. With our naked eye we cannot see them. Then we can say that they are free living one. That means they are not directly depending on other organisms for their food. Or we can say there are some type of protozoans, they are living inside the body of other organisms or higher group of animals and harming them or causing diseases to them. Next one, they are having different types of locomotory organs like pseudopodia, cilia as well as flagella. Other one, protozoans are first formed organisms. First formed animals we can say. Again we can say that they are having unicellular structure. Let us study the important characteristics of phylum Porifera. Now, phylum Porifera, that means the organisms which are there in that phylum has so many pores in their body. Now, those pores we can call as ostia as well as oscula. Here one example of phylum Porifera shown. The example is here cycon. It has many pores in its body. These pores are known as, pores means holes are there in its body, that is known as ostia. And its upper part, again many holes are there. Those holes or pores are known as oscula. So this is Oscula. These are Ostia. Now phylum Porifera having one more speciality. To them we are calling as sponges. These sponges are coming under, or we can say here different types of sponges are coming under phylum Porifera. Here we are studying only two examples. One is Cycon, other one Euspongia. Euspongia we can call in other name, that is bath sponge. Now we can say that they are having very simplest body plan is there. Body organization, arrangement of its body parts, very simple condition is there. So we can say that it has very simplest body plan is there. Other one, these sponges, or we can say phylum Porifera contains which all organisms are there? They are aquatic organisms. Most of them are living in the sea, ocean, etc. We can say that most of them are marine ones. Marine means sea or ocean living ones. At the same time, few of them are living in fresh water. Now, other thing, their body, that is, their body do not have any imaginary axis for cutting their body into two equal halves. We cannot cut their body into two equal halves. So we can say that they show a symmetrical symmetry. Next one, their body is made with the help of a specialized cell. Number of specialized cells are there. We can say that a type of many cells are there. Those cells are known as collar cells. So we can say that these sponges, their body is made with the help of specialized cells. Those cells we can call as collar cells. Now, these organisms do not have any locomotion. They cannot move from one place to another. They attach their body always on any other object. We can say that any other substratum. Then they lead a life. So they do not show any kind of movement, any kind of locomotion. Then we can say that on their body, spines like some fibers are there. Those fibers are very hard. Even we can say that such a fibers which are there on their body, that support their body, those fibers are known as spicules, or we can say as spongin fibers. Spicules or spongin fibers. These supporting fibers are made with the help of calcium carbonate or silica, or we can say sand. Now, they reproduce either asexually or sexually. They reproduce asexually by the formation of bud. So we can say that they reproduce by budding. We can say that it is a type of asexual reproduction. Now, other thing, even they can be able to reproduce by sexual method. Even one more important thing, if by accident we can say any part of their body cut and go, again from there or that part of the body again can develop. So we can say that they are having good ability of regeneration. So which part of the body is cut and disappear, again that part of the body can be able to develop. So we can say that they are having good ability of regeneration. Now they feed, they eat small animals which are there in the water. Through ostia, water will enter inside. Along with this water, there will be minute or small organisms will be there. Even small organisms will enter in their body along with the water. Later, the water which is entering through ostia inside, that will go out through oscula. The water which is entering along with the ostia into their body, that will go out through the oscula, which is there at the upper part of their body. Now once again we will have a quick revision of the important characteristics of porifera. First characteristics, we can say that in their body, porifera, that name itself, they got it because in their body many pores are present. Those pores are known as ostia as well as oscula. Through the ostia, minute, their food material, that is minute organisms, along with the water will enter and it will go out. The water which is accepting along with the food materials, that water will go out through the oscula. Then again on their body, or their body is supported with the help of spongin fibers or spicules. They are made with the help of calcium carbonate or sand. They reproduce by budding, that is a kind of asexual reproduction, and even by sexual reproduction. They are having good ability of regeneration. Now they do not show any kind of locomotion. They always attach their body on any object or substratum. So we are calling them as sedentary animals. Then their body is made with the help of special type of cells known as collar cells. Their body cannot be able to cut into two equal halves. They have a symmetry. They do not have any imaginary axis for cutting their body into two equal halves. Most of them are living in marine, or we can say sea as well as oceans. Few are living in the freshwater. They are aquatic organisms. Their body plan very simple. Then we are normally calling them as sponges. Two examples we will study, that is cycon as well as euspongia or bath sponge.